Hey, good morning, my name's Sean Sullivan. I'm with Sentinel Peak Resources. We are an oil and gas producer. We're the third largest in California now, currently, after a lot of acquisitions. We're based out of Bakersfield, and we are a longtime user of what was Wonderware, moved into AVEVA, so System Platform as a whole. So much like the prior one, we had a long journey getting to where we are, or where we were to where we are. So to give you an overview, we were I'll say a victim, but we had a lot of perpetual licensing, and we were acquired because we are a small independent, or we're a small independent oil and gas producer. We would acquire, another company, and each one had their version of then Wonderware. So these perpetual licenses kept adding up and adding up. So we at the time when we first started this journey, we had 5 independent galaxies throughout the valley, and then we had another one over in the Central Coast, and then we had 2 down here, down in Los Angeles. So there was a lot of licenses that we were approached with. The number of 275,000 tags, that's a modest one. We probably had a lot more that we were actually doing. The workstations that we had, most of them were used IT resources, so stuff that had been done from an IT refresh. It was acquired, they were put out in the field. In one area that we had, one of our galaxies, we had 35 independent machines that were just sitting there. So they were everywhere from maybe 10 to 15 years old. And they were running application servers on them. And they were very overloaded and failing, to say the least. So, and then the bigger problem, and I know many of you probably have run into the same thing, the SCADA system was viewed as a tool, not really as a resource. So it was managed by operations. And so operations tends to take the same stance that they do with a lot of things, run to fail. Thus, that's why we had all those Optiplex machines, because they would just find another one and pop it back in. So with all this, we had multiple customer first service contracts. And if you kind of look behind that watermark that's back there, that's just one page of some of our licenses. We had 3 pages. And so when it came to renewing these, all of these would come at different months when we first took this over. So it seemed like every month I was getting hit with a bill. And I would look, I didn't understand what it was. So I reached out to Chris Torres, who's our rep, and he would explain it to me. I'd be like, okay. But then we would run into the question of, where is this deployed? I would start to try to find out what they were. I'm like, are we even using it? Some of them were things that I knew we weren't using. We had some historian tags or licenses for a 5,000K license, and then some for 60. And once again, we only had about 8 historians, yet we had 10 licenses. So it was very, very, very convoluted on what we were dealing with. Our unsupported hardware, obviously I told you, very old. So the story as we began, we started working with the systems integrator, and one of the things that we did was we did an IT-OT convergence. Now in the oil and gas industry, that's very uncommon, but we shouldered that business. So that did help, because what that did was that took the licensing and the hardware, the infrastructure, everything, and put it into the IT world. So now there's a better light and more influence on what is really required. The other thing that drove that is our company, when it was acquired, the business wanted data. Before, data was trapped out in the field, and it would be literally sent either emailed or faxed off of an Excel report. Now they wanted real-time data. And so, even though we had the system platform and everybody's like, oh, you can get, historian data real time, we couldn't deliver it. With this upgrade that we began, now we had access to it, or began to have access to it. So then as we were going along, excuse me, we started to consolidate all of our licenses. And that helped, and we moved into a Flex program, which was very good because then it allowed us to start accessing licenses. The excess that we had in one area, we could then push over and then get app server licenses because we were deficient in a lot of our areas that we found out as we were going through the upgrade. So, I apologize. Okay. So then as we started to get into another acquisition, we were running into licensing issues again. So that's when Chris hit us with the operations controls product. And that really did open us up to everything because now we had access to upgrade our systems, the newer ones that we acquired, but then we also had the flexibility to start testing out new products. And it was a great tool because now where we had historian tags where we were capped at 60,000 because of the data requirements of the business, now we could hit unlimited. We didn't have to worry about our architecture as much because now we could push thin clients out. We could then take these thin clients and we could put them into operators' hands, where before we couldn't. We had to just have a workstation because that's all we could afford at the moment. So that was a great thing. What came out of that, and if you look at it, we were starting to go in our first year when we did this, we actually were in the hole, meaning we consumed more licenses than what we had. But then we trued up the third year we were there, and then on this third year, we're actually, we haven't been as experimental with some of our licenses. The other thing that came out of this is that we were able to start implementing OMI, which was a great conversion, which then brought us up to, like everybody else, we had the very 3D colorful graphics for our SCADA screens. Well, that didn't do a lot of good because all that was displaying was data. It wasn't displaying information for the operator. So now they have situational awareness. The operators now can see, and this is an example right here of our night operator screen. So this night operator covers about 100 square miles, and that's what that is displaying right there. So he can do it from there, from his office, and then he can go, or they can go to wherever they need to go to address the problem during the night. With that said, I would like to thank Chris for everything that he's done. I would strongly encourage anybody to reach out to the AVEVA Select representative and ask them about this program because it has been truly a very good cost saver for our company, and it expanded our abilities to deliver data to the company that they definitely want. So, I apologize.